how BQE Core makes it easy to evaluate an employee's performance. I mentioned this in the write-up. When you hire and pay an employee, the hope is that they're going to produce. And you want to be able to get information out of your project management and accounting software that lets you see at a glance whether or not that employee is in fact producing. Are they profitable? Are you billing them out at a rate that's higher than what you're paying them, right? What's the effective rate? There are lots of things that most accounting software will, in a sense, require of you, that you run reports and then do calculations, probably need to dump stuff into Excel along the way in order to get done what I'm about to show you Core does in a click. So the first thing is how to get to the employee performance screen. Well, anything having to do with a contact, such as an employee, is going to be in the contacts menu. We go over to employees, and then you have to, of course, pick an employee to look at in order to see their performance. So let's pick on Scott Jackson. And once you're in here, depending on the size and resolution of your screen, you may or may not see all these choices laid out across the top like they are for me. If not, then you'll see it as a drop-down. So you might see General with a drop-down. So just so you're aware, it may not look exactly like this when you get to it. Again, depends on the size of your screen and resolution and so on. So we're going to click on or go to Performance, and that's where we're going to see everything. Now, across the top, we have some, right away, very straightforward and really useful information, right? We have the effective bill rate, right? That's obviously looking at what you're billing them out at when you're billing them out to your clients, assuming you're billing by the hour. The effective cost rate is the actual cost. What are you actually paying this employee by the hour? So if you're paying the employee a straight salary, it's going to look at the hours against that salary to come up with the effective cost rate. The minimum bill rate is $348 per hour in this case. And then there's the ideal pay rate. Now, the ideal pay rate is a formula that I'm going to show you how they calculate it in just a second. It's not quite... there's a few components to this, is what I'm trying to say. And what I want to sort of alert your attention to along these lines, because I can, of course, explain it to you, but I'd rather show you where you can go to get this kind of information. The help files in BQE Core are really good. So if you go here and you search, and I've already done it for you to save time, if you search for employee performance, for example, you'll have to scroll down a bit to get here, but it's all laid out right here beautifully for you. You'll see here where it says employees detail and performance, and it's highlighting the words that are based on my search. And right here you'll see the effective bill rate, the effective cost rate, the minimum bill rate, and here's the ideal pay rate. This is the only one that's not, really easy, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, because it's a more of a complex formula. It's the effective bill rate times the utilization divided by the overhead multiplier times the target profit multiplier. So there's a number of pieces to this to come up with, which you'll have to figure out in order to fully understand how this rate is calculated. And of course, what it's telling you is this is the ideal, what you'd want to be paying him, which tells me here that our effective cost rate is $100 an hour more than our ideal pay rate. So I might want to think in terms of maybe increasing what I bill him out at, right? Things like that. Now we get to the next line, right? The high-level calculations and overview here. You might be inclined to think of these as widgets because they're shaped in little boxes, but they're really not widgets. You can't do anything with them. You can't change them, nor do you need to, right? It's all pretty straightforward. Utilization, how much are they billable versus admin, right? We want to see 91% utilization. I think is probably pretty good for most firms. I don't know, unless you have a firm that for some reason you feel should be 95 or more percent utilized, right? But this, to me, says that the person's pretty productive. Most of their time is being spent on billable activities and not administrative ones, right? And here's how profitable he is, right? Here's what we've billed him out. Here's what we've paid him. And of course, we get the margin, right? So this is, remember, this is all just based on the one employee, Scott Jackson. We've got 100% realization on him, which is really good. And here we get a look at our hours, and it's good to see that he's got 0% overtime. We're not paying him any overtime. Overtime, of course, costs us a lot because we're paying time and a half or double time, and that's going to eat into our margin very quickly if we get into that. Finally, and at the bottom, we have the permissible hours and the gross margins. And, I got to say, one of the permissible hours is something I love because this is something that normally would be very hard to derive from any other accounting software that I've ever used. In fact, it wouldn't be there. You would have to go gather timesheet data somehow and really add it up. And that's assuming the timesheet data was very thorough in terms of the fact that it would need to include a breakdown of vacation, holiday, sick, and comp hours, right? So I love that here in a glance, and because we've accumulated all the time data from the system, it's very very easy for this to be produced right here on a dashboard, so we can get it in a click, easily, quickly. And bottom line is we're able to use the employee performance screen to assess exactly what I mentioned at the top of the video, which is we want to look at when we've hired an employee, are they producing for us? Are they profitable? Are we making money on them? And that may not sound great, but the reality is that's why we hire people. We hire them to help us get the work done so that the company can make a profit. And of course, we hope that the employees are paid well along the way. And this helps us look at all of that. Every single angle, we make sure that he's getting and taking his vacation time, make sure that we're profitable, and make sure that he's being paid sufficiently. All that can be derived from this screen, and that's why there's tremendous value in using Core's employee performance screen. As always, I hope you learned something, got some out of this, had some fun along the way. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you on the web.